If you want to be notified when Breakfast Club videos go up, remember to subscribe and click the bell.
You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Hey guys, Nathan Brandon, Master of Breakfast Club Wednesdays. First off, let me say I'm sorry about last week. I didn't get a chance to do a video. I was working on a bunch of projects. It got late into the evening, and to be honest with you, I just didn't have the time or energy to really make a good video. So I'm making a video today. So first off, let me show you something really cool. Ta-da! This is the prototype for my Blastback role-playing game. Hopefully this will be out either at the end of this year or early next year. So that's one of the things I've been working on. The thing about this is, it's got some cool stuff in there. Thing about this is there's going to be two versions of this, and one that you get off the website and another that you get off of Amazon. But they're pretty much going to be the same thing. I think the version that you get from the website is going to be a little bit higher quality. It's got some nice kind of premium paper going on here, so I do like that. But if you're into role-play games, check this out. It's basic D20 system. So just got your D20 and your six-siders there. So that's all we're running with. There is an optional percentile mechanic for some things. But I strayed away from the percent. I had like a whole percentile set up. I was going to make it like a dual, where you could play it on both. But I'm like, that got too complicated, and it kind of defeated the purpose of what I wanted, which was to keep this book under 100 pages. It might be 100 pages or just at 100 pages, but I really want to sell this for $9.95, somewhere in there. I want to sell it for under $10. So be on the lookout for that. But to get in the video today, I want to talk about something that I've been seeing a lot about, and I just really started looking into it in the past few weeks. I've been checking out these YouTube channels, Captain Cummings, and a few weeks ago I discovered Diversity in Comics, and it's really interesting. And this is not going to be like a full-on SJW rant or anything like that. But you guys know that I talked just a few weeks ago about how social justice warriors and things like that affected me as far as comic books and creativity and things are concerned. So this is really going to be talking about feminism specifically, and how it's affecting comic books, particularly Marvel, more so than anything. Let me straighten my microphone out here. Apparently, Marvel sales have been slumping pretty bad, actually, because of what's happening at the company, the type of politics Marvel has been pushing. And if you watch these two channels, Captain Cummings, Diversity in Comics, and it's kind of cool because they kind of play off each other now. They know each other, and they've kind of met up. And I've actually interacted with them on Twitter a little bit. I haven't done. I actually did say I did actually ask. I actually did ask Diversity in Comics. I did send him an email, let him know I would like to live stream with him at some point. And we talk about these things. Speaking of live stream, real quick, Sister Danger has a live stream that she does kind of on and off. It's kind of random. I did a live stream with her a few weeks ago. I'm going to put that link in the description. I've been wanting to mention that, but it slipped my mind. So I'm going to put the link to the first one we did in the description. She did another one I think it was last week, and I wasn't able to join that. So hopefully I'll be able to join the next one that she does whenever she does a new one. But let me just want to drop that in there. But getting back on track, you have a situation where it turns out that a lot of the assistant editors, slash editors, whatever they are young feminists, and they are taking the stories in a whole new direction under the guise of diversity, which is what, that's the thing now. Everything is diversity. And basically, if you've seen anything, you know that typically when someone starts screaming about diversity, particularly when you're talking about arts and things like that, it usually means that they're gonna turn out a shitty product. That's generally the way it goes. But instead of just coming up with new characters, new diverse characters, they're turning old characters, like the old white characters, into women or minorities. They're just, okay, so now instead of the person that you used to know, like instead of seeing the male Thor, you have a female Thor now, which I have, the way Thor works, it could be a great twist, if not for the fact that it's specifically a feminist twist outside of just being a cool story. Like they have the new female Doctor Who, and some people got mad. No, it makes sense. Based on how Doctor Who is and what Doctor Who does and et cetera, there's no reason Doctor Who can't be a woman. It works, it's fine. But is it story or is it because you want to do diversity? Because nobody wants to see that shit. We give us a good story, we're like, good. Hey, fine. You got a good story, we're good. But that's what they're doing. And that's usually the kind of diversity that comes from these kind of progressive ideas. It's not, let's do something new. It's, let's disrupt something old and then tell you that you should have this, and if you don't like it, you're racist, sexist, homophobe, etc. You guys know how this goes. And they're trying to play this game of, well, people just don't want diversity. Now, something David Gabriel's the vice president of Marvel Comics, and he actually made a statement that people just don't want diversity. This is one of the biggest lies that anybody has ever told. Comic books are a mainstream hobby, okay? Now, there was a point in time where comic books were considered kind of like a geeky, oh, that's for geeks, all right? Only geeks read comic books. But in the 90s and right now, comics are indeed a mainstream hobby. And Marvel is saying people are getting into comics. All these new people are getting into comics. Black people have been into comics for quite some time. Ever since I was a kid, the black kids I knew were into comics. They were into comic books. The last time I went to a comic book shop, which was just a few days ago actually, no, that was last week I went to a comic book shop. Stayed there for about 40 minutes to an hour or so. The people I saw, now, this is one thing that's true. A lot of women have come into comics. There were more women walking into this shop than I ever saw before. But they were not reading Marvel comics. As a matter of fact, I can tell you there were a bunch of women that walked in. When I first got there, they were there and they were looking for Neil Gaiman comics and things like that. But what they weren't looking for is Marvel comics. As a matter of fact, toward the end, when I was getting ready to buy my stuff and leave, 3 black kids walked in. I'd say they're maybe about high school, college age. So I'll say young women and a young man walked in, and they walked straight by the Marvel section. Now, I'll say this. They did look at Spider-Man for, like, the Spider-Man stuff. They looked at that for a minute, but they kept walking, and they walked to the independent section. That's where they spent most of their time. They went from the independent section to DC. People were looking at Batman. People were looking at that type of stuff. People weren't looking at Marvel like that. Within the time that I was there, nobody bought anything from the Marvel section. And it wasn't white guys. And let me say something about this. The people who ignore black and minority comic readers the most are feminists. Whenever they talk about comics, they try to pretend as if it's only white men who are reading these books. And it shows that they don't know anything about comics, or what tends to be the truth, they're lying. Which is, remember, they always lie, they double down. You guys know I forget the third one, but it's lie and double down. That's the thing that you know that always happens. They lie and they double down. So either they know the truth about the readership of comic book, the truth about comic book readership, and they're just lying, which is what I'm more likely to believe, or they really don't know anything of comics, which is also very possible. Oh, this is what men are into, so let's get into it and destroy it. And the irony is, for some reason, Marvel is letting them do this. Now, what a lot of people believe is that next year they're going to probably fire these people and start Marvel up again in kind of like a DC Comics rebirth kind of situation. But what's really happening right now is you're seeing a lot of these so-called diversity characters and people aren't buying them. Now, there's people who are, the characters who people like, Miles Morales, they like him. He's been around for a while. He's kind of tried and tested. People are good with him. But Miles is a black guy. So supposedly, people aren't supposed to like him. People aren't supposed to want to read his book. Everybody hates diversity in comics. But apparently, he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. But a lot of the other characters aren't doing so well. Now, the problem is very clear. It's not that people don't want diversity in comics. It's that white feminists have a really shitty idea about what diversity is, and typically they can't write. Marvel used to be the #1 comic book company, and right now DC is the #1 comic book company. And people are trying to find all kinds of things to blame this on, except saying people don't want the material that you're selling because it's not good. It's not stuff I would buy. I mean, if I were to see this stuff, and this is one thing Diversity in Comics pointed out, this weird thing where they emasculate the men, they make the men kind of wimpy or emasculated, and then they make the women very masculine looking, kind of flat chested. They kind of want to have fantasy, but without the fantasy in it. And I talked about this, and you guys know I talked about it. I said flat out, I said, okay, if you're really religious, if you're really religious, you're really academic, stay away from comics, get away from us. We don't want you here because you're gonna fuck with us, and we don't want it. Leave us alone. Go do your thing. If you want realism, go make your own little realism comic. But if you're stepping into the world of superheroes, the world of superheroes is big muscle-bound dudes duking it out, sexy women with powers and stuff. People are flying because the sun energizes their body. That's comics. And if you can't deal with it, get the fuck out. No one wants you here. No one's asking you to be here. So that's my thing. And it's very funny that after I did my video about it, I discovered all these other videos talking about this. Let's see, what was the other video? There was somebody else talking about it who wasn't one of the two main guys. But there is this attitude of we need to change this for us. We need to change this for that group of people. And this is going to be my final big say about this. This is, and I say this all the time, this is not being done to sell comics to minorities. This is not being done to sell comics to women. Minorities and women are already reading comic books. When I was in college, women were reading comic books. Black people were reading comic books. Asian people were reading comic books. This was going on when I was back in college. This was going on when I was in grammar school. We had a comic book shop, or at least we had a candy shop down the street that sold comic books in the store. So we had that, and we would buy the books. That's why they had them there, because kids would come in and buy them. You don't have things in stores that people don't buy, which is why Marvel sales are going down, because people aren't buying this shit. They're not buying it. So the question is, why is it going down? Is it because people don't want to see black comic book characters? They don't want to see female comic book characters? The idea that people don't want to see female comic book characters, if you believe that, you are showing so much that you have absolutely no knowledge of the comic book industry. As a matter of fact, in the 90s, there was this thing called the Bad Girl comics, or the Bad Girl craze, where all these comics had come out with these sexy chicks that just like whooped everybody's ass, and they were just the bad girls, you know. People were reading that and they loved it. And somehow feminists believe, again, a lie, that, oh, they don't want women in comics. They don't want women characters. They don't want any of these people. It's all a lie. Real quick, one of the last things I want to point out just before I leave, and this is the milkshake fiasco. You had Heather Antos and a bunch of chicks. They went and they had, now I saw this happen, okay? So I was on Twitter when this went down. They went to get milkshakes and they put a selfie up there. Now I think it was like 5 people had something to say about it. And they turned this whole thing into like a thing like they were being harassed by millions of people. The whole internet swarmed in on them to harass them about milkshakes. And people started saying, well, where are the tweets? Where's all this harassment? I mean, you're on Twitter and you could show us this harassment. I mean, it's Twitter. Where are all the tweets at? Weren't there. It's about 5, maybe 10, as far as I saw. Okay, maybe there's like 100 tweets that I'm missing. Maybe there's like a ton of tweets that I'm missing. And if there are, I apologize. Please show me those tweets. But yeah, they just came out and said, we're being harassed because we got milkshakes and we work in comics. The reality of the situation is, if you do good stories, you do good material, no one gives a rat's ass about what you are and what you do in comics. Again, I point out to you, I go to comic book conventions, okay? I haven't been to one in a while, but the last one I went to was like 2013. Now, I'm black. Kind of obvious. I sell comic books with black characters, black leads. Most of the people who buy those books are white. And none of them have stopped and said, nah, I don't know. That's a black guy on the cover. I don't know. You're a black guy selling comics. I don't know if I want to buy that. I never had that. People look at the book and they read it, decide whether they want to buy it or not. You like vampires, you like vampire hunters, you like stuff like that. You flip through the book, you go, oh, no, okay, I'll buy it. As a matter of fact, when I did go to that convention, I went all 4 days, sold out all the books, okay, sold everything out. Never did I have a problem with anybody going, I don't know, black folks in comics, I don't know. That was not an issue, okay? Again, the majority of people who bought them were white. I did have some black people who were like, "Oh, this is cool. You got black characters going in there actually." And this is the thing: black people want to see black people do cool shit, just like the white people do cool shit. They don't want to hear the bullshit politics. They want to see like cool ass black heroes kicking ass and taking names, like Blade in the Blade TV show. No, in the Blade movie. Let's not make that mistake. Let's not do that. In the Blade movie, if you want to do politics, weave it into the story. Weave it in a way that people go like, oh, okay, I get it. I see what's happening here. But they don't have to be overwhelmed with it, because that just becomes propaganda. And people don't want it. People are like, well, I don't want to hear your political shit. I don't want to know about your feminist agenda, which, by the way, I will indeed be doing a parody of that cover. Watch soon. I might actually share it here or on my main channel somewhere. I'm going to be doing a parody of that cover. I know it's going to be probably old by the time it actually hits the market. It will be like an old joke. I'll try to see if I can do a maybe a limited run of something with that cover on there, with the parody cover on there. I'll let you know when that comes out. But that was about it, guys. That's all I wanted to say. Wow, this video is 30 minutes. I'm going to have to edit this thing down. Ouch. So you guys take it easy. Nathan Brandon Masters. Awesome.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. my love if you feel like I do right now. Don't say you're on the